Hi everyone, my name is Leo and today we are diving deep into the XSonic Airstep Cortex Edition. In this video we will be covering everything you need to know about this controller. We'll start with a walkthrough of its features, also checking them out in action with the Nano Cortex. Finally, I'll give you my honest verdict with all the pros and cons after weeks of testing. So I hope you enjoy and please subscribe and ring the bell as it would really help me to create more content like this. Let's start. Before trying the unit together with you, let's start with what the Airstep Cortex Edition actually is. This is a purpose-built foot controller designed exclusively for the Neural DSP Nano Cortex. This is laser focused on one thing, making our Nano Cortex actually more comfortably usable in a live setting, without the hassle of configuring MIDI signal and messages. The unit features an aluminum housing that feels pretty sturdy at approximately 300 by 70 by 45 mm. It's compact enough to fit on most pedalboards, also giving us 5 full-size foot switches with a good amount of spacing between them. The weight is 650 grams. In terms of connectivity, on the back panel we have an antenna for connecting the Airstep to our Nano Cortex. In fact, the connection between the Airstep and the Nano Cortex is totally wireless, and this is of course nice. By the way, it is also super fast. I mean, I can't hear any latency switching presets, as you may have experienced in the first part of the video where I have played and switched presets and effects. To be noticed that the connection between the Airstep and the Nano Cortex doesn't need any configuration. I mean, you simply switch on the Cortex, you switch on the Airstep, and they connect. Since the beginning, I mean, the first time I switched on the Airstep, it was already connected to the Cortex without anything to do by my side, which is super nice. Still, in terms of connectivity, we have two TRS expression pedal inputs to control, for instance, our wah or gain or other parameters that we want to set up with the XSonic app, that of course I have downloaded. And as you can see, it is really simple to connect, and then here with the app we can decide what to do with the two expression pedal. In this case it is connected to a wah. Then it has a 5 to 9 volts at 600 mAh power supply input. To be noticed that the unit has a battery included that should last 300 hours, so a lot of time. Then we have an on-off switch and a function button that I guess is here for future functionalities. Furthermore, in the box we have some labels to be attached to the unit, for instance in order to recall the name of the presets. It is also included a USB to power cable to power up the unit, for instance using a USB power bank. Each foot switch has a pretty satisfying click. With the app, in the settings, we can decide if to trigger the preset or the effect with the press only or with the press and release. Lastly, and before checking out the unit in action, let me clarify that. First, the connection with the Nano Cortex is totally wireless. No USB or MIDI ports are built in the Airstep. Second, when we want to connect the Airstep and the Cortex app, first we need to connect the Airstep to the Nano Cortex and then the Nano Cortex to the app, so keep it in mind. Third, so far the Airstep cannot power up the Nano Cortex. I'm pointing it out as the Airstep Tonix Edition can actually power up the Tonix One. Maybe this derives from the fact that the Tonix One is less power hungry compared to the Nano Cortex. Nonetheless, we can attach the Nano Cortex to a power bank to still have a totally unplugged pedalboard, which is of course cool. Fourth, with the firmware update 1.1.1, the Airstep Cortex Edition works now in two control schemas. One focus more on presets and one focus more on scenes. The scene schema is the one added to the Airstep with the 1.1.1 firmware, which is nice, as now we have the possibility to manage also the scenes in our Nano Cortex. To be noticed that the control schemes and scene mode effect on off settings are configurable in the app, as you can see here, scene, and in the setting we can decide what schema we want to use. Nice and simple, I would say. Now let's see how the Airstep performs in a real-world pedalboard setup. I've got here with my Nano Cortex the Van Gogh pedalboard with a nice light over there that also power up the units. And then here I have the Palmer River Series ILM, which converts TRS cables to XLR1. So I would say, then I have of course my Nano Cortex and an expression pedal, so a very simple setup. The Airstep connects to the Cortex just wirelessly, and then I have both the app open in my phone, so the Cortex app and the Airstep one, that can coexist, I would say. As I said, the unit works in two control schemas, and here I'm focusing on control schema A, which is the default one, and I guess the most used. In control schema A, we have two working modalities, preset mode and effect mode, that are selectable with the short press of the last foot switch. In preset mode, the LED is blue, where in effect mode, the LED is green. Let me show you the preset mode first, which is the default mode. With a short press of the first foot switches, we change from preset A, B to C to D, where with a long press we activate or deactivate the FX1, 2, 3 and 4. For instance, here I can activate the compressor, or here I can activate the modulation. And I love this functionality, as we can combine effect mode with preset mode. So please remember, with the blue LED we are in the preset mode, where with a short press we change the preset, and with a long press we change the effects. For instance, in the first foot switch I have a clean tone that I can enrich with some chorus, or I can deactivate the delay. Then with the preset 2 I have a crunch tone, and then in the third preset I have a lead tone. Here, for instance, pressing again the lead, I assess the tap tempo. Very easy also to remember. In this modality, I mean in preset mode, we have also the possibility to press together the third and fourth foot switches and the last two, to bank up or bank down. On the other hand, long pressing the last foot switch, we activate the Cortex tuner. Now, with the short press of the last foot switch, we jump to the effect mode, where the LED is green. In this mode, the first three foot switches activate the first three effects, as you can see here. The fourth is dedicated to the tap tempo. Of course, with the last one, we return back to the preset mode. On the other hand, long pressing the first foot switch activate the tuner. The second and the third are dedicated to the capture selection, and the fourth and the fifth are dedicated to the fourth and the fifth effect. Basically, I can build my tone on the fly, start with a dry signal, add some compression, throw in some chorus and delay, and finally some reverb. Each effect toggles independently, and the LED shows you exactly what's active. Let me also point out that if we connect an expression pedal to the Airstep, we can also control some parameters, as I was saying previously. So for instance, here with the expression pedal, I'm controlling the wah. Okay, so far I have shared the working modalities of the first control schema. And as you may have noticed, we are not able to manage scenes. So via the app, we can switch the schema to scene mode. Now the unit changes behavior. So let me go to the app, and here we can change the schema. And here we are in the scene modality. scene focus modality, I would say. We still have the preset associated to the foot switches with short presses, but now if we long press, we are no more changing preset but scenes. And all the scene management can be programmed with the Airstep app, which is, of course, as you can see, very nice and easy. Here, if we switch to the green mode, now the short press is associated to scenes and the long to effect, which may be useful for some of us. So, summarizing, we have two control schema modalities. One focused on presets and effects, and the other one focused on scenes. We can select the working schema with the app. Then, if we are in preset focused schema, we have two working modalities. We have short press associated to presets and long press associated to effect. With the green one, we have short press associated to effect and long press associated to a mix of tuner, captures and effects 4 and 5. On the other hand, changing the working schema with the app to the one more focused on scenes, we have the blue modalities, where with short press we can change preset and with long press we change scenes. Then switching to the green modality, with the short press we change scene and with the long one we change effects. I hope that the schema in the video helped to clarify even further what I mean. I think that it is harder to explain than to actually do it. Let's now jump to our final considerations. Final considerations here, and please notice that XSonic has sent me this unit for free and this video is actually sponsored, but of course, as usually, I'm free to tell you whatever I want. Here's my assessment of the XSonic Airstep Nano Cortex Edition. The pros. First, this is a true plug-and-play solution. There's literally no setup required. Connect the unit wirelessly and you are ready to go. And the connection happens without doing anything. No MIDI mapping, no configuration, it just works. For musicians who want to focus on playing rather than programming, this is very valuable. Second, despite its simplicity, if we want, we can deep dive and apply some more complex setup. For instance, using the two switching schema where we have full access to our scenes and the scenes can be arranged with the Airstep app. Third, expression pedal input. Having two expression pedal inputs opens up interesting creative possibilities, volume, gain, etc. We can assign those to any parameter. Fourth, battery life 300 hours of operation is nice. And considering that also the Nano Cortex can be battery powered with a power bank, well, we can have a pretty portable and power cable free solution, which is nice. Fifth, I like to use the preset mode, but still with the possibility to change effects with a long press. This is quite a clever solution that I think should be adopted also by some more high-end amp modeling pedalboards. And now the cons. No MIDI ports. Here, the Airstep Nano Cortex has no MIDI in or out. This is exclusively for Nano Cortex control. I cannot control other MIDI devices. This would be a cool feature to control other MIDI units like a MIDI delay, just using the Airstep. 2. As far as I know, we cannot transform the Nano Cortex Edition to control other devices. We are locked into the Nano Cortex ecosystem. It would be nice to have, for instance, firmware upgrades to control other units. Third, it would be cool to be able to power up the Nano Cortex using the Airstep as a power bank. This is actually possible connecting the Airstep Tonix Edition to the Tonix One. I guess that the Nano Cortex is too much power hungry to do it. Nonetheless, it would be a pretty handy feature, in my opinion. Nothing more comes to my mind. So, is the XSonic Airstep Nano Cortex worth it? If you own a Nano Cortex and want to use it in any live situations, this is almost essential, especially if you don't want to lose time setting up MIDI signals, diving menus, etc. But you want just an easy, ready-to-go solution. However, if you need a universal MIDI controller for your entire rig, for instance to control the Nano Cortex together with an external MIDI delay, look at other devices, as the Airstep Nano Cortex Edition is a specialized tool that does one thing exceptionally well: control our Nano Cortex. So please let me know your precious and valuable opinions in the comment section below, and which other devices are you using to control your Nano Cortex. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and ring the bell, as it would really help me to create more content like this. See you soon, thank you for watching, bye bye.